qualified workforce. Aware that the Nigerian rail has been neglected for decades, but in recent times, the government has stepped up the rehabilitation, revitalization, reinvigoration, and construction of railway lines across the country. Acknowledges that the Warri Itakwe Standard Gauge Rail line was commissioned by President Muhammadu Buhari on the 23rd September, with freight service further commissioned on the 16th of April 2021. Consider that the rail transport system is the most effective, affordable, energy-saving, and environmentally friendly form of transportation. Also consider that the economic level of traffic can be consolidated to enable the railway provide efficient services for high-density flow of homogeneous traffic over relatively long distance, particularly the high volume of containerized cargo or bulk freight, such as oil and gas, coal, steel, and agricultural products. Concern that recently some unscrupulous person damaged, vandalized, and maliciously cut some portion of the newly constructed Warri Itakwe rail line at about 30 kilometers in Adogo, Kogi State. Aware that the Niger State, the Nigerian police force intercepted truck loaded with rail track and pieces of rail slipper along Katangari Mina Road. Alarm that the newly completed Lagos-Ibadan rail line was vandalized in 2019, where clips, bolts, north of the rail track were carted away. Further alarm that the same incident of theft of rail clips that hold the slipper and the rail together happened in Zaria, Kaduna State, even as it will be recalled that in May this year, a train loaded with water pipe from Lagos to Zaria derailed along Kanawa Aziz opposite Sultan Bello Mosque in Kaduna due to vandal activities. And worried that all aforementioned rail vandalism can cause acute train mishap, resulting in the loss of precious life, which is tantamount to murder and destruction of property. Accordingly, resolved, urge the federal government, particularly the Ministry of Transport and relevant security agencies, to ensure that the perpetrators, including the saboteurs, are charged for economic sabotage with maximum punishment without option of fine. 2, urge the relevant authority, including the Nigerian Railway Corporation, to engage the services of local security guard along all the rail lines in the country. Mandate the Committee on Police Affairs to liaise with the hierarchy of Nigerian Police Force and the National Security Civil Defense Corps to work out modality towards regular patrol and surveillance of the rail track within the country. I so move, Mr. President.
Senator Abraham Gover.
Somebody will just go and start taking away the track of the railway line. I think it's tantamounting to a murder, because these people are doing it to kill others, and therefore, if there is a way we can employ even capital punishment for these people, I think it's better. Because if we don't do that, at the end of the day, we will lose precious lives. So I think I support this important motion, and I therefore hope that everybody is going to support it. Capital punishment in this case, I think, is due for this people. Thank you very much.
Senator Alero.
Thank you, Mr. President. Remain Mohammed Adamale, representing Kebbi Central. Mr. President, I rise to also lend my support to this very important motion. I saw it on the social media. I even thought it was a joke. Mr. President, this is criminal. I want this chamber to know that we borrowed a lot of money from China to rehabilitate and construct these rail lines. And these criminals are all out now to vandalize virtually everything. So where are we going? Where are we heading to? I therefore wish to...
Point of order, leader.
Order 13 of our standing orders to move a motion for the extension of time to enable us conclude the items on the agenda today. I so move.
Minority.
Thank you. Mr. President, railway is a very important and critical infrastructure that is required in this country. And no matter how much we spend on our roads, if our railway lines are bad, our roads will not have long span. The lifespan of the roads will not last for more than 2-3 years, no matter how much we spend. But if we rehabilitate and modernize our railway, we will be able to increase the lifespan of our roads. So we should take this issue very seriously. If the existing laws are not enough to give enough punishment to these criminals, we should amend the existing law so that capital punishment will be imposed on those that vandalize our rail lines. Mr. President, this is criminal and we should take it very seriously. It is more than economic sabotage because they are killing our people. Recently, they vandalized the Kaduna Abuja rail line, apart from that of Lagos, Ibadan, and Wari Itakpe. So, huge sums of money were borrowed from China. We have not even started paying. And these vandals are now going all out to destroy this infrastructure. So, we should take it very seriously, Mr. President. Thank you.
Senator Biodun Olujimi.
I represent Ekiti South. Mr. President, it is very heart-rending to see all these pictures on social media. In a country where we've been crying for infrastructural development, to now find out that the country was able to put rail lines and some people will go and vandalize them. In fact, Mr. President, the most heart-rending problem in this is that most of the people that were photographed on social media are in their early 40s, 20s, 30s, and 40s. The people who will need this in the future. They want to remove the future from now. And that is why I just rise to support this motion and to say there has to be capital punishment attached to this, because these are national monuments. We cannot allow people who don't think about the future to come and destroy the future for our children and their children. And that is why, Mr. President, something drastic has to be done about it. We have got to police all the trucks. We've got to pick all the people that have done this, prosecute them, and make sure they are punished effectively. Mr. President, I so second, sir.
Can we go to the press? Urge the federal government, particularly the Federal Minister of Transport and the relevant security agencies, to ensure that the perpetrators, including the saboteurs, are charged for economic sabotage with the maximum punishment without option of fine. Those in favor of Prayer 1 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 2, urge the relevant authorities, including Nigerian Railway Corporation, to engage the services of local security guards along all railway lines in the country. Those in favor of this prayer say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. And prayer 3, mandate the Committee on Police Affairs to liaise with the hierarchy of the Nigerian Police Force and the National Security and Civil Defense Corps to work out modalities towards regular patrol and surveillance of rail tracks within the country. Well, if you are talking about Committee on Police Affairs and then liaising with Nigeria Police and National Security and Civil Defense, then you also bring in Committee on Interior, because Committee on Interior oversights the Civil Defense. It's not Nigeria, it's not Committee on Police Affairs. So can we make that amendment? Those in favor of Prayer 3 as amended, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Well, let me also comment here. This is criminal. In fact, I don't know what economic sabotage is if this is not one. And we must take interest on what happens with those that were caught. We need to follow the trial or the prosecution, because there must be a very good example of punishment on people that give us this kind of trouble in the country. Just like Senator Aloro said, we borrowed money from China to construct these rail lines in order to increase the level of infrastructure in the country. And then some people will just go behind and start stealing this, going out to sell them maybe for, God knows, something very little against the national interest. So we must be interested in what happens to these people, because our courts also have problems. Maybe after the hue and cry, then the case will just be there for the next 2-3 years, and therefore there will be no visible example of what happens to someone who does or engages in this kind of activity. But there must be a visible example. Thank you very much, distinguished colleagues. Leader of the Senate.